We're going to review sections 1 through 4 for the quiz. So Mrs. Klepczyk grades 2 papers in 5 days. How many papers does she grade in a quarter? Hint, there are 80 days in a quarter. So we currently have 2 papers in 5 days. And we want to figure out how many days are in a quarter. And we know that there are 80 days in 1 quarter. So we multiply across 2 times 80, then we divide by 5, and we get 32 papers per quarter. Next, we have that if your bedroom is 14 feet wide, how many centimeters wide is it? Hint, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So we have 14 feet, and we want to convert it to centimeters. So 1 foot is 12 inches, and 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So it's important to put the unit you're trying to get rid of in the denominator of your fraction when you are converting. So 14 times 12 times 2.54, it is 426.72 centimeters wide. It's also extremely important on your quiz that you remember to put units because we are talking about conversions here, so units is especially important. So next, we want to convert 17,200 inches per second to miles per hour. And I give you that 5,280 feet in a mile. So we start with the 17,200 inches per mile. Okay. So we have to do 2 conversions here. We have to convert inches to miles and seconds to hours. So I'm going to start with the seconds to hours. It should say second. So there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So I now have my per hour. Now I want to convert inches to miles. So first I'm going to convert it to feet. So there are 12 inches in 1 foot and 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So I do my multiplying across, so 17,200 times 60 times 60, and then I'm going to divide by 12. And then divide by 5,280. So there are 977.27 miles per hour. So it's also extremely important that if your answer is not a whole number, you are leaving at least 2 decimal places in your final answer. And when it comes to conversion problems on the quiz, I will give you information that is not well known. So like the 5,280 feet in a mile, the number of centimeters in an inch, stuff like that. So next we want to talk about ratios and proportions. So the way that we solve a proportion is by cross multiplying. So to solve 2x minus 1 over 5 equals x over 6, we cross multiply, and we get 6 times 2x minus 1 equals 5x. Then I distribute this 6 in the parentheses, we get 12x minus 6 equals 5x. Subtract 12x from both sides, and we get negative 6 equals negative 7x. Divided by negative 7, and x equals 6/7. It's also extremely important that you leave your answer as a fraction and you remember x equals. The only time you're allowed to give me a decimal answer is if it's a word problem, a conversion of units, or if the original problem contained decimals. Okay, So next we have 3x plus 7 over 2 equals 8x minus 1 over 6. So again, I'm going to cross multiply. We're going to have 6 times 3x plus 7 equals 2 times 8x minus 1. Distributing into the parentheses, we get 18x plus 42 equals 16x minus 2. I'm going to subtract 42 from both sides. 18x equals 16x minus 44. Subtract 16x. We get 2x equals negative 44. Divide by 2. X equals negative 22. So lastly, we talked about word problems containing proportions. So we have Olivia can speak 75 words in 1 minute. She wants to know how many words she can speak in 10 minutes if she can keep up the same pace. So we have 75 words in 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to set that equal. Now we want to know how many words she can speak in 10 minutes. So we don't know x. So notice here how I set up a ratio and I labeled it. So 75 words over 1 minute equals. I don't know how many words she can speak, but I'm putting it over the time span 10 minutes. It's extremely important that you keep things in the same place when you're setting up a word problem proportion. Then we're going to cross multiply. And we're going to get that x equals, and then 75 times 10 is 750 words. So again here, making sure, because we were talking about a word problem, that my final answer still contains units. You want to bake a cake and the recipe calls for 6 cups of flour for every 4 cups of sugar. You only have 2.5 cups of flour. How many cups of sugar do you need? So 6 cups of flour for every 4 cups of sugar. I'm going to set it equal. So we have 2.5 cups of flour. We need to solve for my cups of sugar. So 6 over 4 equals 2.5 over x. I'm going to cross multiply. We're going to get 6x equals, and then 2.5 times 4 is 10. Divide by 6. And we're going to get x equals 1.67 cups of flour. So something like this where we're talking about baking and we need a certain number of cups, you can give me a decimal answer. It makes sense in this context to have 1.67 cups of flour. You can also leave it as a simplified fraction, so 5/3 cups of flour, that works too. But in this special case, for a recipe and you have units that are cups, I will allow a decimal answer. But also our original problem contained decimals. 2.5 is a decimal. Let me know if you have any questions before you take the quiz.